Okay, expanding and simplifying, and then factoring. So this is 1C from your work here. Expanding and simplifying. If you guys remember FOIL, okay, F-O-I-L.
Tin foil.
All it stands for is it tells you which numbers to multiply. So the first numbers, outside numbers, inside numbers, and then the last numbers. Okay? So, when it says first numbers, it's the same as distributive property. We're multiplying these first numbers by each other. So that's going to give us negative 3x times positive 4x gives us negative 12x. We then deal with the outside numbers, which is negative 3x and 1. Again, distributive property. Okay? Negative 3x times positive 1 is negative 3x. We then do the inside numbers, negative 5 and 4x. Distributive property again. Negative 5 times 4x is negative 20x. Oops. And then finally, the last numbers are negative 5 and 1. Distributive property again is just negative 5. We then collect our like terms, which are only our two terms in the middle. And we're left with negative 12x squared minus 23x minus 5. That's expanding and simplifying. That same question, we can factor to go right back to where we started, because this is factored form. So if I had negative 12x squared minus 23x minus 5, and they asked us to factor this. Okay? When we're factoring, you guys may have learned a couple different ways to do it. I'm going to show you one specific way to start. We take the first term and we find the factors of it. Okay? And in fact, because it's negative, we're going to factor out negative 1 right through this. Okay? So I'm going to common factor negative 1 out of each of these, so that we're working with only positive numbers. Okay? So we factor out this negative, we get negative 1 on the outside, and then we get 12x squared plus 23x plus 5. Makes it a little easier for us to work with. So that's common factoring. I then take the factors of the first term, so 12. Factors of 12 are 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. And then I take the factors of the last term, which are only 5 and 1. I'm going to be multiplying these across to get two numbers that add up to our middle term, which is 23. Okay? So, you kind of got to do trial and error here. 1 times 1 and 12 times 5 is 60 and 1. No combination of that's going to make 23. When we go across, 5 times 1 and 12 times 1, that gives us 12 and 5. No combination of that works. So, we know that 12 and 1 won't work. We then try 2 and 1 and 6 and 5. That gives us 2 and 30. That won't work. We go across. 2 times 5, 6 and 1. That gives us 6 and 10. That won't work. So we know that this column doesn't work. We got to try this column here. Our last one, hopefully it works. 3 times 1 and 4 times 5, that gives us 3 and 20. Well, 3 and 20 will work. Okay. So this is the important part here. Because we did 3 times 1 and 4 times 5, we got 3 and 20, we know those work. These are the numbers we're putting into the brackets. Those numbers there. Okay. The common factor, negative 1, still has to stay outside. And I'm going to put the first terms in. Okay, technically there's an x beside it, so 3x and 4x. But the important part here is because I multiplied 3 times positive 1, the 3 and the 1 have to go in opposite brackets. So the positive 1 goes over here. And because I multiplied 4 and 5, they have to go in opposite brackets, so the positive 5 is over here. So if you notice, minus the factoring out of the negative 1, we went from here, we expanded, we then factored that same question to go back to where we started. The only difference is we factored out a -1 there.
We put a negative.
And